first blood. Wee Zhao's going to try and get away from this one. The Ignite goes down. He does manage to escape it just about. So Ignite was used. That did manage to have to burn his flash though. So Wee Zhao already in the bot lane has no flash.
That could be very big, especially with the aggressive lanes coming out. Crepo on Leona wants to kill early, as does the Blitzcrank. They have to be really cautious if they try to pull someone in, because Wee Zhao will be very vulnerable down there. After that engagement, though, that looks like their cards are spent. Will we see any more invades? I'm not thinking so.
No, they wanted to get that first blood down. Who used the Ignite? It was, of course, Wicked that used it, so he's not going to have it available in that top lane. That's not too big a deal. It's going to be probably up before he even gets a chance to even think about going for a 1v1 fight. Of course, that top lane is a potential place where we will stack. But WE, I've got to stop calling them we, that's for sure. Looking across the board, nothing fancy coming out. We did see someone yesterday with just full stack of oracles and a few health pots, no boots at all.
It's looking like we're going to see a 2v2 lane top, though, because Olaf is down, waiting to potentially take a blue buff. We've seen this out of a lot of teams. And here's a delayed invade. They're going to try to pull the blue like every other team has done. They're going to get this one. It's going to delay CLG's blue.
There's the blue. They do hooking through. Have they got the damage? And CLG are ready for this one. There's the rupture. It's going to hit straight across. Messiah goes down to Crepo. First blood. The exhaust goes down on Blitzcrank as well. They thought about following up. They're going to back away. Clearlove now has got a little bit too close. He could get the stun from Crepo. Instead, they're going to back away from on that one. First blood for CLG.
They were ready for that play. They knew the Blitzcrank was going to come, and they all converged, flashing over the wall, landing the rupture in the exact spot they knew they had to pull the golem with. Then they got as well. They're countering this up right away. They're trying to steal the red as well.
Oh, Clearlove's going to walk in. He gets ignited straight away. He has missed the rupture, though. He is going to get another hit. Yellow Peach should be able to get another shot on the back of him. It's going to force him away, and that's going to force Clearlove to back off. WE do not want to let this one go there. They are going to fight for this red buff. You can see they've pulled it around again there. It is FZZF. It's going to come back around. Crepo still hanging around here. Now we can see Froggen starting to make his way up here. So Karthus is going to join the party. It's going to be a 4-on-4 potentially around the jungle. Level 1 red buff. CLG said to us, they cannot give up these things. You cannot let yourself be bullied at level 1. We must fight for everything we get in that jungle. FZZF, he wants to hook someone in here, but really I'm not too sure what target he wants to go for. Which one of those would you want? He's going to go the red buff instead.
He's just keeping it leash so it doesn't get high in health. Snoopy's smite is coming up soon. When they'll get that, they'll be able to take it. You can see Orianna and Graves are off farming lanes. They're pretty much conceding this, and they're going to get the buff steal. It's just going to take them time and maybe cost them experience.
And the red smite was used there, and immediately you're going to see Snoopy head up towards that top lane. Crowd appreciating some clearly hard-fought play there from CLG.
Oh, and they're going to try to get the rupture down onto Wee Zhao. They just misses it.
Just misses out of it. Yeah, dodged out of it. Dashed through. So, the lanes start to reset themselves, and as you mentioned, it is going to be a 2v2 top lane. Froggen versus Messiah in that mid lane. And, well, Orianna versus Karthus. Take us through that one to start with. We said that Messiah has to stop Froggen farming. How do you stop Karthus farming?
The great thing about Orianna is the auto attack harass, and the Q to W is actually very, very great. We saw Toys dominate with it yesterday. And Froggen's somewhat immobile. He does have to be careful against Orianna because the burst damage and the poke combined with Orianna makes it a very difficult lane for Froggen. You can see he's already ran himself out of mana here. He's getting as many minions as possible, but it's actually not an easy matchup for him. That 300 minions by 22 minutes is very unlikely to be replicated in this matchup.
Okay, so the two bruisers currently down that bottom lane. It is going to be Chowmei versus Wicked. How would you rate this one? You said Olaf, you know, with the blue buff, you might note, he picked that up off the back of that one against Wicked, who obviously, as it stands, does not have any buffs, does not have anything. He has got his Ignite back available. He used it right in the very first fight. But Chowmei is definitely going to have a big advantage here.
The axe spam with the blue buff is very devastating, and Wicked does have to be a little bit careful. He shoved up the lane very early, and the minion damage early on in the game is quite strong, so he wasn't able to actually trade back and forth. He withstood the blue buff. That was good play by Wicked in that lane. Overall, it should be Olaf trying to bully Wicked a little bit, and Wicked's going to have to win with gank support or with ganking other lanes, because straight up, Olaf does beat him with the true damage. And Snoopy's camping mid lane here. With
he is camping mid lane. He's going to see if he can get on towards Messiah. We said Messiah needs to be dealt with, and Snoopy's going to come around. Wall of Pain didn't quite catch. I'm not sure if he did. Rupture's just about missing. And Messiah will walk away from that one. No problems at all. I can tell you the jungler has already fallen behind. Snoopy needs to be careful. He had a good advantage on that farm. That red buff at the start. Clearlove is definitely fell behind. He's still that level behind. He's going to struggle for the first few levels for that experience. You can see he's just taking golems on that top lane at the moment. But here in this mid lane, he's definitely where it's going to be. The CS between the two is 32-31.
And that's the matchup with Messiah. He is legendary for being the best mid laner in China. Everyone actually talks about how fast he clicks. Sometimes they say it's useless, but if you just watch him, sometimes he'll wiggle back and forth because he's clicking so fast. Actions per minute if you're trying to keep it up. A lot of people say it's useless, but he does it to get the absolute right position on every creep. And there's a lot of posturing going around up here. They're trying to shut Clearlip down even more. They stole his raids. It was a disaster early on for Maokai here because they gave the blue buff to their own Olaf, and outside from that, he hasn't cleared any of the big runes, and he's really struggling experience-wise. Level 2 at 6 minutes.
Yeah, those bot lane exchanges between Xiaomei and Wicked are definitely starting to prove a little bit devastating. There's a hook there on Crepo. I'm not sure if that was the one they wanted. Just popped his shield down the lane. He hooks him straight in. You know, he could just turn around and stun Wei Zhao, and Yellow Pete was free to do the damage. Crepo is quite happy to eat the hooks there.
And Wei Zhao now has his flash up, so they've gotten through that period where they had to be quite careful. And you look in that top lane, how are they doing? 39 to 31 minion kill-wise. No one's went back to shop, and Wei Zhao only has the 1 level advantage. They are slightly stronger. When you pull someone into Graves, it allows that extended damage from Buckshot, and they have to be very careful. Yellow Pete needs to be able to arcane shift through those hooks. There's a potential 3v3 brewing up here.
Tribo straight away. Snoopy walks straight in, puts the rupture down. They realize his position, though. Oh, and he dodges out the hook there. Wei Zhao takes a shot in the back there. Mystic shot from Yellow Pete. But great little bit of juking.
It was an expert escape by Snoopy there. He put the rupture down on himself. It didn't grant vision until it popped up, so FCZF got the knockup, he got far enough away and then juked the hook. So really, if he didn't do all of those things just right, Snoopy would be dead right now.
I'm interested to see how this mid lane's going to work out. I think we're on for record numbers here between these two. 54-54 CS. They've both just backed off. Wei Zhao currently in that top lane as well, 49 to 38. Has that advantage over Yellow Pete currently, 10 CS. So starting to slowly build that advantage. That's all about having to dodge FC, his grabs, his hooks, trying to disrupt as much as possible. The junglers really have not been involved too much. You saw Snoopy going for a few little ganks in that mid lane. He's just going to play some wards in the mid. But Wicked and Xiaomei left very much on their own devices, just as we said in the keys to the game.
And one of the things with both junglers falling behind or not seeming to have that much action, when you do, oh, nice rupture by Snoopy, trying to just disrupt Messiah from going back. But the junglers early on like that, when you counter invade, you shut one guy down farther, but you shut yourself down too because the efficiency is gone in the jungle. Snoopy has spent so much time roaming around, so much time waiting around that red buff, that he just fell a bit off the pace, and he's only level 4 in 8 minutes, so really, both junglers are hurt from this, and it's allowing the lanes to really just have straight-up matchups.
Straight-up matchups indeed. That bottom lane is definitely going to be a farming session, and currently Olaf is running out, so Xiaomei definitely out farming, and Wicked is actually pretty low, and he's in a dangerous situation where Xiaomei may be able to have a little bit of help from Maokai and dive on him. Currently the blue buff has just been exchanged, Messiah's picking that one up, but Wicked down this bottom here, a couple of axes coming across him will definitely work him down. Obviously he has that passive, did manage to dodge out of the way of it, but that's what I'm talking about. Xiaomei just putting that true damage down on him, the axe going across, he is incredibly low down the bottom there. They have grabbed Crepo though, they're going to put the ultimate across FCTF, they have got the exhaust on, he should be able to get away from it. Wicked meanwhile has gone down that bottom lane, Castle's ultimate is not going to land in a full length ultimate grab. What a fantastic grab there, and Wei Zhao picks up the kill. Xiaomei will go down in that bottom lane. It's a 2-for-2 exchange now. And wow, what a crazy fight. We missed the Wicked exchange actually. I think it was Snoopy that kind of baited him in there, did obviously pop his ultimate. We maybe get a look at that one, but wow, what a full length grab.
Froggen also coming in with that ultimate, helping out both lanes. Without his ult, neither of those lanes would have got either of those kills, so it was very key that he didn't get that disrupted by Messiah. WE actually coming out a bit ahead in these lanes. They gave up the first blood, but they've now pulled up a 500 gold advantage. So much of that comes from bottom lane. Xiaomei, double gold per 10 items, and just 20 minion kills ahead of Wicked, and he's granted the kill. That's where WE is getting their advantage from right now, and they need to support Wicked here. Xiaomei has done so much to beat Wicked here, because in the previous matches, Wicked's really been 2v1ing, and right now he's getting 1v1 by Xiaomei.
We talk about that advantage, but Wei Zhao, you know, he's ahead in farm, he's 78 CS to 57, 20 CS ahead, and a kill on top, which obviously gives him a huge gold difference. He's sitting on 2,600 gold in lane, just gone back to buy. Let's see what it picks up. He's gone straight for a BF sword. He has got a Dawn's Blade in there for that little bit of extra health, but very early on the BF sword.
They're going for the early aggression there. That's just saying you don't need to sustain.
Oh,
He's not worried about harass. And if they get a pull, he's going to follow it up. They're just taking that blue. They can't get there.
He can't get the range there. On towards that blue buff, wanting to pull it back. So 10 minutes gone into this one. Xiaomei working over that bottom turret. Messiah stealing away the race. As it stands, WE definitely pulled themselves back into this one and winning out the lanes.
And what CLG.EU needs to do right now to get back on this is kill out Clearlove. Clearlove's went for that naked oracles, which means he's gotten it before any gold per 10 items. He doesn't even have upgraded boots. If he is able to go around and clear out CLG.EU's wards without getting items beforehand, it's going to be disaster. FCZF trying to camp up against Wicked. These lanes have now swapped to 1v2s because it wasn't working out for Wicked. And WE seems to be content with just pushing up this top tower. It's going to be interesting to see if we can get himself back in the game a little bit from here.
Yes, it's interesting to see we've got to 11 minutes. They have decided to switch it up. Does that mean they're going to go for a Dragon maybe? I can see Wicked actually heading down towards the mid lane at the moment. So will they maybe try and position themselves? I can see Crepo and Snoopy also starting to close that gap. Are we going to see an early Dragon from
Looks
CLG?
like
Definitely going to be an interesting setup. Looks like WE not really in a position to deal with this one because you can still see the top lanes are starting to head down. There's Orianna putting that distance down, trying to slow things down, but they are aware that CLG going for it. Meanwhile, down that bottom, I can see Crepo is actually, Yellow Pete having a little bit of problems with Chow Mei. He can't get up to that Dragon, but it is going to get taken by CLG, and WE are going to give this one up.
Yeah, they had the two members top lane, and Wicked spent the entire time running down. When they did that lane swap, WE didn't react. Smart play there, CLG pulling themselves even in gold. The counter here will be for WE to push that top turret. If they get this down, it's actually going to be in the advantage of CLG.EU. It looks like that Ezreal is going to come up top and clear out those creeps. They won't be able to get this tower.
No, I didn't quite clear them down. It's definitely taken them low, and low enough to save the turret. Time for Wicked to get back in lane. Clearlove with that Oracle, like you said early on. 12 minutes gone in this game. First Dragon down. CLG.EU with pretty much an identical goal difference, which shows you how much WE have out-farming it, because that would have given 1k across the entire team. It shows that goal difference in terms of farming in the lane. 122 CS to 108, 105 to 81. Definitely big goal differences, and really it's hitting the right people as well. 3,800 gold to 3,200 gold. That is Wei Zhao versus Yellow Pete.
And on top of that, they've had to come back from the first blood disadvantage. So actually, WE outplaying CLG.EU since that first blood fairly vastly. Snoopy trying to get in on Clearlove. He does have a pretty big advantage on him here, but he does have to be careful. He can get collapsed on.
He does. We forced the flash from Clearlove. Meanwhile, we've got the hook up the top there. Wicked does have to flash away from it himself, though. We do have the rest of the bottom lane closing in on that blue buff, which has been taken by Froggen. And that is a nice bit of play. So CLG.EU starting to try and close out the resources early instead, and really force the play actually on WE, which is something I was not expecting. I would have thought WE would be the one that's pushing the place. As it is CLG, you can see Crepo sat there. Is he going to try and go for Chow Mei, try and force that ulti? FZF, though, coming around the backside of Wicked. That tower very low. He's got a creep wave here. They could just push the tower down. They don't need to go for Wicked there. And Wei Zhao has obviously called it off here.
And this is something CLG.EU is trying to do to adapt. They actually realized that they were getting out-farmed by WE, which is something that almost never happens to them, which is why you've seen them change around their playstyle. They knew if they just stood and farmed the lanes, WE would overtake them. So they started going around forcing objectives, and they could not quite steal that blue buff from Messiah.
Yeah, Ezreal trying to put the ultimate across there. Yellow Pete didn't quite get it. And that will be Messiah with the blue buff, which is going to cause a few problems for Froggen in that mid lane. Looks like that top turret will be the first to go down. There it is, WE taking the first turret of the game. Yellow Pete now has been left to free farm down that bottom, actually, while Olaf has gone back. Round of applause for WE taking that first tower of the game, giving them that 1k gold difference. And as it is, 99 CS to 66. That is Wicked versus Chow Mei. Chow Mei definitely with that big advantage in that bottom lane. All about the blue buff early on.
And even look, mid lane, Messiah is out minion killing Froggen by almost 20.
But
every single lane is beating them.
The gold is actually close, though, because he's got those 2 assists. If you look at it, 4,500 to 4,700, it's still very much close between those two, purely based off those 2 assists from that, obviously, global ultimate you get from Froggen.
I'm very, very impressed overall, though, with WE's ability to farm here, because no one out-farms CLG.EU in almost any circumstances, and the fact that they're essentially right now beating CLG.EU at their own game, which is just farming pressure. Clearlove hasn't been anywhere for ganks. Every lane is just bullying, and it's overall pressure. It's kind of handcuffing CLG.EU here. And there's a pull.
Crepo's getting hooked in there, but he's going to have enough to get out of this one. Just collateral damage goes across. He's the Ignite. The Ignite will take him down. Wei Zhao drops. Yellow Pete's got to be careful now, because that hook will be back up in a few moments. You can get the power fist on him, and you can just get that arcane shifts away from the bookshot there. But we do see Orianna, Clearlove, and Messiah heading down. Yellow Pete's got to be careful. He's got Snoopy coming to try and protect him, but I'm not sure they're in a position to be able to protect against a 4v2. Snoopy now realizes he is in desperate trouble. Yellow Pete backs out of it. Snoopy should be able to back off. and he will indeed back away, and that is going to be the bottom turret gone. FCZF does pick that one up. It's 2-0 World Elite for those turrets.
Something about World Elite's style is they were actually the first team to kind of revolutionize the split push strategy, which later Azubu Blaze showed to North America at that MLG Summer Arena. And they're more likely to just take turrets when they send 4 down than to try an aggressive dive, because they know the map control can be snowballed better than a singular kill. And we saw that there. They would have had an opportunity to try and kill Snoopy, but they realized the greater advantage was to just take that turret. Now 2 turrets to 0 and a fairly large advantage.
So we have a bloodthirst to come out by now. Weizhou 2-0. Definitely ahead. 143 CS to 104. That is a big, big chunk of change difference between those two. 174 to 156 for the mid lane. As you can see, the gold difference proving it is a 1,500 gold difference currently for Weizhou to Yellow Pete. That is a big difference. We're going to have to see Yellow Pete disappearing off to those lanes on his own. They're going to try and fight for this red buff. They're not in the right position, though. There's a ward right there. Crepo is going to certainly get caught out here. He has going to pop his ultimate. He was ready for it. The Ezreal ultimate comes across. There's the Cardinals ultimate. Can they catch out FZZF? They will. His mana shield's on, though. He should be able to get away from this one. Crepo wants to land the stun. We can see the wall of pain coming down from Frog, and Frog is going to get a couple of late waves. He's going to be able to back away. He's flashed out of it. Can he get close enough? No, the dissonance slows down Froggen, and they do get away from it. There's the Orianna ultimate. Pulls CLG back. Yellow Pete's trying to drive on Messiah. He is going to be able to back off to his turret. Very well played by WE.
And Wicked was going to try to pick off Blitzcrank over the wall, but he actually missed his ultimate. You can see it's just on cooldown. It fizzled into the wall, and that would have been a pickup they needed. But overall, a fantastic escape by FCZF, supported very well by Messiah, and that's his Orianna. They have to be very careful now with that Athene's Unholy Grail. He's going to be getting most likely a death cap as his next item. They've done nothing to slow him down right now. He's really just taking it to CLG.
Absolutely, we are seeing Yellow Pete, like I mentioned, going to have to disappear off both of the lanes and just farm it out. So this is the time that WE want to start pushing the pace on CLG, because they just are not winning out the fights. They want to pick up anything. That could have turned things. If they would have caught out that Blitzcrank, then Messiah would have definitely turned things in CLG's favor. As it is, WE with a strong advantage. Dragon has just spawned, and immediately WE on top of this one, so they know the timing. Despite the fact they didn't pick it up, they are right there the second it spawns.
Luckily, they had a ward on it the first time CLG.EU took the Dragon, so they're just taking clearly here, and they have a big enough advantage here. They know Yellow Pete wants to disappear in these lanes, so they're just not letting him. They did the red invade, which CLG was able to counteract, but just the overall objective taking, they're not allowing CLG to do what they want. Instead, they're dictating to them.
So that wall of pain hitting Chow Mei forces him back. You can see that CZF, he wanted to get a hook on someone and open things up, and that's what COG got to be careful of. They don't get any blind hooks through these walls. FCZF, we saw some fantastic hooks yesterday by Taipei Assassins, despite the fact they were pulling McNoon. They didn't want McNoon. They were after the jungler, but they kept getting McNoon regardless. It worked out for them nevertheless. Blitzcrank is interesting to see how he's come back into this one. We saw Curse using it quite often. Elements obviously was rocking Blitzcrank quite heavily in the North American regionals, but we haven't seen too many teams using it outside of Taipei Assassins that were pulling it yesterday, but it seems to work out very well. It's one of those champions, if you do hook a winner, you will definitely win out the team fight.
And now we still see CLG grouping up in the mid lane, and World Elite is kind of flanking around them a bit. They might look to force. If CLG gets too cocky here, it could be Blitzcrank pulling them in, or it could just be CLG overcommitting, but that is not CLG style. If we see Wicked kind of ult in and try to create a team fight out of almost nothing, that would really be a sign that CLG is pulling for something, because we almost always see them counter-initiate and wait for the other team to come to them. It's kind of why they're sitting in mid here. They're waiting for WE to make a move, but they're not taking the bait. You can see Olaf's went up to push mid. CLG is just sticking around. Both of these teams want to be initiated on.
Yeah, they're pushing that tower. Wall of Pain goes down to force them back. There's the rupture. They're going to continue. Yellow Pete managing to put the damage on there. Mystic shot. There's the hook. It's Wicked they pulled in, not the one. He did have to flash out of it, though. He was a little bit worried. He's not tanky enough to take the full-on damage there, Wicked. So he did have to burn a flash, which means he will not be able to do any of those crazy flash ultimates you sometimes see from Malphite. And CLG back off a little bit from this one, but they are continuing to push this mid turret.
They are just sitting here, and WE does see a lot of creep waves crunching up. It's a very interesting strategy here by CLG. They are poking away at that tower, and WE still not able to initiate on them. It's kind of odd since they are ahead.
The hook comes out there. I think that just saw collateral damage. Did Weezhou just use his ultimate?
Yeah, he did use his ultimate to try to clear the creep wave.
Try and burst them back. Weezhou going down to that bottom lane. He's got to deal with it because that bottom turret, has been pushed heavily. And again, CLG still continuing to be grouped up. So CLG definitely changing their level of play here a little bit. They're not going to stick to those farming lanes. They are insisting on getting this turret. They should get it this time around them.
And that was just, there's the initiate!
And Wicked's diving in there, FCZF gets dropped straight away. The Orianna ultimate pulls Crepo in there. Chow Mei's going to try and get up to Crepo. Finally, they take the turret down. They're a little slow on that one. Crepo's gone down, Wicked has gone down, Froggen is going to drop. He's got his disruption slowing in there. Has got his ultimate available, but there's not enough damage across Clearlove. Has gone down. That's an Oracle down as well on Clearlove. That has definitely worked in there. It's a 3-for-3 exchange, actually for 2 exchange, sorry. And that looks like Weezhou is going to take this turret down off the back of that one. So Team WE, despite the fact they got initiated on, are going to come out on top. If they can take this inner turret, that is disastrous for CLG.
And that's actually what WE wanted. That's why they were around split pushing the lanes. They're just worried about overall advantage, and they're turning around CLG's strategy on themselves. Wow. 2 turrets out of that fight. It was a 3-for-2. That makes up for the Oracle loss, and that is a win for WE. CLG really pushing here because they are getting down and they're not sure how to get back in it.
Well, this is the aggression you see often from Moscow 5. When they take that advantage, they will just drive it home on you, and taking 2 turrets and a blue buff off the back of a straight-up fight from a 3-on-2 is disastrous for CLG. So now they're going to have to hit turtle mode. We've been in, done it before. We're going to have a replay, ladies and gentlemen, with the player audio.
Blitz. I'm gonna go. Back out.
Marker!
I'm low. Get tower. Run. I got Maokai.
I have flash
Back out, but I got Maokai.
Good
Nice.
job. That's Oracle.
2-for-2,
we got Oracle. 2-for-2, we got Oracle.
3-for-2.
So Froggen saying there, you know, back out, but I got Maokai. They knew they'd managed to finish him off, but, well, the call straight away was back out. Wicked went in.
You could hear some miscommunication there. Oh, WE trying to get initiation. They're going to get Froggen.
They're going to go for Froggen. The Orianna ultimate missing there, and FCZF also. Froggen is going to go down. Has he got enough to go and follow it off? Obviously, his ultimate's not available. Big, long global cooldown on that now, and that is going to be a problem. And that is 7-4.
Oh, wow, they're going for a Baron right now.
They are going for a Baron. They've already started the Baron. Chow Mei already in there, tanking it up. He could definitely take a lot of damage on this one. How are CLG going to react to this one? There's the ultimate coming across far too early. They've got not a lot of vision, if any at all, of the Baron pit, so they realize
they have to back out of this.
One out. They are going to back out, and there is Snoopy. He's going to come around. They're going to try and pick up an advantage. Wicked is just below. Yeah, they're going to back straight off from this one. They did manage to force them off that Baron, though.
That was a very interesting choice by W. They might have been trying to sneak a Baron, and that's going to allow CLG.EU to push mid. Everyone got very low off that Baron. They had to fall back because they knew if they stayed, Wicked was going to ult in and basically clean them up. Will they be able to get mid in time? Yes, CLG is backing out.
Dragon's up in 30 seconds. They're going to back off, and they're not going to go for it.
Looks like WE will be able to take that Dragon if CLG does back out. And just going back to that replay we had, there was the miscommunication by CLG. Snoopy really wanted to kill the tower. The idea, I think, was to finish the tower and then initiate with the Yolona Malphite, but it was a hair too early. They needed a hit or 2 more on the tower before that initiation happened, and so much of that damage came down onto them, making the 3-for-2 turnaround and making them push back. That could have been a lot better for CLG. And now it's actually WE continuing to sweep around Baron because they really want to be able to get that objective and then push it home.
CZF needs to be careful when he's sweeping around Baron Pit. The ultimate obviously will pull aggro. And as it is, Dragon has spawned, and we are going to see a potential first Dragon fight, the real Dragon fight. A full-on 5v5 without any towers. Distance goes down on Snoopy, dropping his health really to a level he didn't want to go down to. Congratulate you all for watching. Too many stats at the moment on his feast either, so you can see he's not full size. Wall of Pain's gone down just above the top of the screen. It is Chow Mei that caught. They're going to try and shred as much hit points off they can, taking him down to half health. That's going to help them out when we come into a team fight. Of course, Olaf will get stronger with the lower hit points, so it's like a hit or miss. People are being put down to clear out the ward damage. They want to get this Dragon. This is very much a forceful Dragon fight from CLG.EU. They must feel that they can take this one, pull the Dragon out, and fight off WE.
And they're down in gold, but still forcing engagements. Here they come. They're going again for WE.
Well, Crepo using his ultimate there on Wei Xiao, but they backed out. They will be able to pick up the Dragon off the back of this one. Can they turn anything? Will WE try and catch them on the way out? FCZF definitely causing himself a problem in there. And they are going to have to back off this one. The goal difference now just 4,000 gold between the teams. That's not a great deal as it is, but well, if WE can turn this into a push, CLG completely out of position. They've been forced to follow down that bottom lane. But WE looking like they might try and close them off here. We've got Oriana just across the side. We'll have their ultimate really just blocking them off. They're not forcing them back here. They're going to go for an engage. They're going to go straight in there. Wicked actually is caught in the middle of it. Hasn't managed to pop his ultimate. Now he gets the ultimate. Yes, the ultimate gets across. Clearlove taken down very low. Rocket's going to try and get him. He could potentially pick up multi-kills here. He's got Requiem available. He's going to pop Requiem surely. He will take down Clearlove. He will not get Wei Xiao though. Wei Xiao's got to be careful. He doesn't get engaged on the back of that one, but Oriana is causing all sorts of problems. Messiah in there. Yellow Pete taken incredibly low, but they really want to take this turret down. Snoopy's going to have his work cut out stopping these three members, taking the first inhibitor turret, and WE off the back of a dragon turn that into an inhibitor kill. Very, very nice.
And WE is coming out of these fights ahead and then pushing afterwards. They're fighting in the right spots and getting CLG low enough to counteract these things. It's strange because CLG is actually out poking World Elite in a lot of these situations, which is why WE is giving them the objectives like that tower and like the dragon. But then afterwards, CLG is fighting them, which is where they're losing because the gold advantage is in the favor of WE, and the Oriana is so potent in these team fights. He's really outdoing Froggen in a lot of ways, always up near the end of the fight, always channeling those ultimates. And even now, CLG trying to push in, they just can't seem to get at Messiah.
They can't get hold of him. He's definitely slippery. Messiah 115, building the exact same we've seen all the Asian teams build so far. Going for that Athena's and Holy Grail straight away, then the Death Cap with the Sorcerer's Shoe. And obviously yesterday we saw Azubu Frost. We saw him have Merc Treads early on, sell out the Merc Treads and switch to Sorcerer's Shoes.
That was initially to stop Froggen from putting the wall in with gank follow-ups, but Messiah didn't even do that strategy, yet still only died with that very first blood. So he's done a fantastic job laning against Froggen this entire game, because you see we're at the 27-minute mark, and Froggen's only at 218 minions, so a substantial drop-off from the last time he's done the mid lane Karthus. Messiah definitely slowing down Froggen, and that's been very key for WE.
Let's not forget, we have seen CLG.EU come back from a huge deficit, 27,000 gold against Moscow 5. However, they had the inhibitors up there, and they had Anivia. They could stall out the play as long as possible. That ultimate catching across most of WE, but really not doing a great deal of damage currently. He has only got that Trinity Force on there at the moment. Has picked up the pick, wants to probably go for Last Whisper possibly off the back of that one. CLG.EU really aware of the fact that WE trying to set up for this Baron. They're going to try and steal out the blue buff. Good positioning, Clearlove again dodging this rupture, and they are going to turn this instead and push the top tower.
And that ultimate by Ezreal was actually because they had no vision on the Baron. They were worried that they were going to push it down, and really WE dictating heavily to CLG right now. They need to clear out a few more wards, then they can really start forcing the Baron, because CLG will have to go in and check it. The wards, look at all the wards that WE has in this area. This is what we saw from TPA when they played Blitzcrank. They put a sea of wards around the area, hoping that when CLG comes to scout, they can get a pull on a priority target over wall. There's that one ward they still need to clear out, which they're getting right now. And from here, CLG's in a big amount of trouble. They have to initiate a perfect team fight, but it's so difficult since they don't have vision and World Elite can see everything.
Yeah, and it's everything for Malphite. Wicked really wants to land that perfect ultimate. He's been trying to get it, and they have just positioned themselves so well. He landed a really good ultimate in the last fight, but unfortunately they didn't have the damage to back it up. Again, they're just catching their position.
This is the pull they need.
They're going to get a grab. Oh, that would have been Crepo they tried to go for. The rupture managed to land. They have a little bit of a blind vision around the side there. Are they going to try and fight them in the jungle? I'm not sure that's the ideal position. That Oriana ultimate could be deadly in the position they're in right now. And you can see FCZF, he's just like, yeah, go on, pull me. I initiate on me, do whatever you want. I have this mana shield and I am tanky, and I'm just going to allow all the damage in the background. He's effectively a tank, not just for support, he's a tank in there. And Messiah using that speed up, and COG for that little bit of a merry dance have managed to get themselves a clear lane.
And honestly, WE is displaying a level of patience that really is only rivaled by CLG.EU in these late game fights. Even though they have a 5,000 gold advantage and seemingly entire map control, they're not brute forcing any of these fights. They're not just trying to run in. They're waiting until they get an extremely advantageous one. They will only want to start a fight on a blitz pull, or if CLG.EU expends cooldowns to get into them. They're not going to grant a free team fight for CLG. They're going to make them work for it. And the longer it goes, the higher the chance that they get a pick with that blitz hook and win a team fight 4v5.
Yeah, the gold difference there, you can see really where it's stacking out. And Wei Xiao with a 2,000 gold advantage over Yellow Pete at the moment. That's a big difference for you two AD carries. That is a major item, and you can see he's got that Bloodthirster, Phantom Dancer, and Quicksilver Sash compared to just that Trinity Force for Yellow Pete. Definitely falling behind. And could we say Ezreal's stats again just collapsing? Oh, are they going to try and collapse in here? If we could just get the camera up a little bit more, we might be able to see the action. It is Frog, and he got hooked in, he got destroyed. There's the Malfoy ultimate. They do get the ultimate across the entire of Kerpo. Frog should be able to pick up one kill off the back of this one. Wei Xiao taking incredibly low. Yellow Pete trying to collapse onto him. Now he's got Chow Mei diving on. Clear up as well. They're collapsing on Yellow Pete. Yellow Pete's going to get dropped. He cannot pick up any kills off the back of that. He was just manhandled throughout that. Snoopy wants to finish him off. They can't get anything from it. And after a perfect Malfoy ultimate there, in amongst Froggins, I cannot believe Wei Xiao came on top of that one. They just closed down. Yellow Pete tried desperately to get onto Wei Xiao, but they just couldn't do the damage. He just dashed away and said, right, clear up, defend me.
Such a close fight there. Pulling in Froggen could have been disastrous because he was sitting in them with the file, spamming the wall, spamming the Qs, and it was just a matter of everyone on WE pulling back at just the right moment. By the end of that fight, they were all at less than 1/3 health. Now their life's healing up. It's a 4-man Baron. They're tanking the damage, passing it off very well. They're going to get this Baron, and that's so many team fights in a row that they've squeaked ahead of, but then taken a huge objective afterwards. Before it was towers, now it's Baron. This is potentially a stranglehold for World Elite.
So we've got a replay of that one with the player audio. Let's just see how crazy they get.
Chris. Oriana, Chris. Back out, all up. I'm all up. All up first. All up. I'm running. Whatever.
Fuck, I wasn't under the
I
impression.
got out.
Yeah, he jumped in and suicided.
I did, but...
Well, as you can see right there, Froggen really making the calls there. He wanted to get Wei Xiao, but they couldn't do it. They switched to Olaf, they couldn't do that. Switched to Maokai, couldn't do that. They just didn't have the damage left to really catch all that position.
One thing COG does somewhat better than other teams is actually call targets in team fights, which oftentimes does very well. But with that, WE was able, when they got called as a target, they realized the focus and they would disengage, and it was allowing them to just all sit around fairly low. The focus overall wasn't quite able to close things out. A lot of that just happened to be all of COG's crowd control was bursted right away. So later on in the fight, when they wanted to focus, it allowed WE to disengage those fights. And that was really close. COG, their team fighting is some of the best in the world. And even though they are behind, that fight was razor close for them coming out ahead. Now with the Baron for WE, they have to be even better and catch WE even more by surprise.
Yeah, and of course that gold lead was extended. WE picking up the Dragon while we looked at that replay. You can see it's 8k gold difference now. WE definitely with a huge advantage. But, you know, those super minions, they've been pushing down that mid lane, but not really being used that much. And now the inhibitors respawned. You can see that, well, CLG would have had a good chunk of farm off that. Snoopy, you can see, looks like he's got 6 feasts on him there. He's very much at full level. There's 5 feasts, so he just needs one more. So he's going to be at full strength when we come around to this next team fight. However, that Baron, let's have a quick look how long that Baron's got left on them. If we can, it looks like it's got full 2 minutes on this one. So WE have a long stretch in this one.
WE really wants to take this inhibitor. There's not much COG can do to stop them. They're afraid of the blitz pull. They're afraid of the zone. Fighting a team with the Baron and a huge gold advantage can be disastrous. That's the second time that inhibitor's fallen. COG really needed the turtle. When the second inhibitor goes down, it becomes exponentially more difficult for them to hold off, especially these outer turrets. I'm guessing they're going to have to hold off this one. Otherwise, Blitz or Maokai could come around the back and really corner them into a team fight.
Yeah, it's a very dangerous situation for them, and really, Wicked needs the entire team grouped up, and this would not be a group situation. Blitzcrank really has been causing problems on FZZF since coming into this team. Definitely seems to have made things tick for them. Messiah also proved himself a problem, but really, the damage was done in the very start. Wicked lost his lane to Chow Mei.
And so much of this from WE has been from the three somewhat core members. The two new members are Clearlove and FCZF, and what they've really done is just deferred and enabled the solo laners and the AD carries to take over this game. You can even just look from the minion score how much of the farm is directly deferred to those giant carries. 288 for Messiah, 288 for WX, and it's just Graves versus Ezreal, Yellow Pete versus Weezow, just farm-wise, is not even close right now. So much from CLG is just too many priority targets almost at this point, and they really, really have to pull something out of their hats here because it's a struggle to stay alive in this game.
Standing room only here at LA Live. It has been a fantastic tournament throughout the last 3 days, and really we have some absolutely amazing games coming up for you. Of course, it is going to be Taipei Assassins versus Moscow 5. That will be after this one concludes. It is a best of 3, of course, here. And CLG.EU at the moment looking in a dangerous, dangerous situation. WE looking to take home this first game. This is the first outing that WE have had. They've sat here for the 3 days, sat very patiently, practiced heavily with IG, I believe. You know, that's the few times I've seen them practicing. It was with IG, their Chinese counterparts, and they've really prepared for this one. CLG, on the other hand, they said, look, it's like cramming for a last-minute exam. You can't learn anything from last-minute practice. You just need to know it beforehand. In which case, they felt comfortable coming into this game. They are looking like they may well go down in this one. How would they turn things around if they do?
A lot of this from WE is about that preparation. It was stopping Wicked from getting Aurelia. It was stopping Froggen from getting Anivia. CLG will have to change up their team comp a little bit in the next game because if this happens and they do fall off, which could still happen differently, we know WE has what it takes to beat CLG, so they do have to switch it up.
So they're going to have to play something different. 36 minutes gone in this game still. A 10,000 goal difference. FCZF sat there with that ward looking to maybe get a hook, start something off. CLG are too experienced to try and fall for those tricks.
This is that stall that CLG.EU is trying to pull off right here. If they can stretch it later and later, they will start catching up. Right now, they're back behind on gold and experience. When they're turtled like this, they're getting almost as much gold as WE. So percentage-wise, they will be catching up. And the experience, when everyone hits level 18, you'll get even. It's just a matter, that's going to be in many, many minutes. Froggen, the only level 18 member of CLG, whereas WE, 80 carry, and AP mid are both 18. Chow Mei very close behind at 17. So they're reaching their peak experience-wise. So we've seen it before. 70-minute games at CLG.EU can stall out. World Elite, seen those as well. They've done their research. They do have the inhibitor down. That's normally the sticking point that CLG turtles on. Now it's all about number 2. They've lost their Baron. How are they going to close this out?
How are they going to close it out? And if you watched actually the farm in those lanes, you can see that Snoopy was setting everything up, but it was Yellow Pete that was using it. And the shield there for Weezhou, they're just going to try and bait this one out. Weezhou just, FCZF stood at the side there, and Yellow Pete again returns to farm everything up here. And missed the CS on that one, that's a little shame. The turret took it, but they are just baiting it out. They're going to steal away the blue buff, and they're just holding things down. Baron buff has now run off WE, so CLG quite happy to carry on stalling this one.
And Baron's coming up within the next minute, so you can see WE is just containing CLG in their base. They should be going back and getting a bunch of wards. You can look at FCZF. He has 7 wards in his inventory right now. He's just been back. They're going to do that sea of wards that they did last time. Try to get an initiate hook. If they win another fight like they did the last one, which gave them Baron, that'll be the end of the game because they'll just be able to push in and end from there. Very, very difficult for CLG to push in here. If they allow another Baron to go, they're probably going to lose an inhibitor off of that. But they almost have to. If they try to go into the jungle, there's a very good chance they're going to die.
Do they fight for that Baron? That's the question. They are starting to push out now. They realize that the Baron is going to be up in 15 seconds. Dragon is now available as well, and they are starting to follow this creep wave out this time. So CLG starting to become the aggressor. If we can pan the camera up a little bit, you can see that FZZF is off on the distance, just waiting to try and get their hook in there. There is Clearlove up the side. He's just trying to get himself in some sort of position. He's got that Oracle on. He's definitely been working down, taking all those wards. He's just off at the side. Crepo's got to be careful. They've not been too fussed about who they actually catch there. Crepo tried to initiate there. It looks like CLG are ready for this fight.
CLG is actually trying to force a fight on their terms once again because that's kind of what they've done all game, but they seem to think that if they do it right this time, they're going to be able to end it out. Really, they need to get onto Weezhou because he's been
There's the stun.
There's the stun. They might be going in.
He just backs off from that one. It was FCZF he caught. Nobody really baited, bro. They've got the hook on Wicked, but he has managed to flash straight out of it. That means the flash and Ultima is not available now for Wicked, but he did not want to get involved in that one. That was not the fight because they've managed to separate Chow Mei. They've gone for Weezhou. That's it. They wanted. FCZF is going to drop instead. They do not No, he flashed away. The Ignite's running on him. They have managed to second round. Wei Xiao's taking down Crepo, looking across the side. Snoopy's going to get dropped as well. Wei Xiao takes him down as well. You can see now Messiah's going to close in the Calthus Ultimate's not going to pick one up, just FCZF, but WE come out on top. Messiah with the double kill. Wei Xiao with the double kill. And Yellow Pete, the only man surviving, just backing away. And the ping goes down on the Nexus for WE.
WE, such great execution in that fight. You thought that they had a window when Xiao Mei got zoned out by CLG.EU and they all converged in the mid lane, but what happened is so many members went away to follow Messiah and they could not touch him. Such good play by everyone on WE. That team communication actually outclassing CLG.EU this game, and they're going right down for these inhibitors. They might not actually be able to take the Nexus here. They're very low. The death timers are up. Creepo's alive. They're going to try to just, I don't know how they're going to finish this yet.
Wei Xiao trying to turn out towards Yellow Pete there. Yellow Pete just trying to force him away as best he can. Crepo's going to come around as well, but the inhibitor has gone down, and once those two inhibitors goes down, it becomes incredibly difficult to come back from. Crepo's going to try and set these up for Yellow Pete. Yellow Pete farming out as quick as he can, just trying to defend those turrets, but that's one Nexus turret down. They didn't get the second, so they held them off for a little bit longer, sustained the loss, but well, CLG in a desperate situation as WE pick up the next Baron. That's surely the end of CLG.
Well, this is CLG's last-ditch effort. They are all very low, and they're going to be finishing this Baron, but they'll be at low health. So if CLG.EU gets another team fight, if they could somehow catch WE, they might be able to get this, and they're going to battle here.
They're going for it. They're going straight in. The Orianna ultimate destroys them. Wei Xiao with the collateral damage just obliterated the entire CLG. Xiao Mei going very aggressive, but it doesn't matter. He's just trying to bait Froggen and Wicked into a fight here. FCZF's going to surely crap at a hook there. No! Froggen flashes across. That's an incredibly difficult flash to do as well. That's going to be the wall of pain going across, but he's just delaying the inevitable now. The Malphite ultimate, it's not going to be enough. Froggen's going to get dropped. He did just about get his distance going off there, but he's going to get dropped, and Wicked now just a fatal errors from CLG really have cost him in this one. He's trying to delay as much as possible. Yeah, they've realized it. Wei Xiao's going to get on towards that last final Nexus turret, and this looks like WE are going to take game one against CLG in this quarterfinals. Well, what a start to a game, and WE, you see what it means to them. They are so happy with that result, and well played them. They looked phenomenal.
The last team in China, the #1 seed, the first team to qualify here for the World Playoffs, coming out extremely strong. Their first game of the tournament on day 3, and that game, even though by the end of it, it looked like WE had the big advantage, was really close. All of those fights, everyone on WE got away with a sliver. If the slightest thing changed, CLG.EU could have came out on top in those early fights, and that could have potentially snowballed on the later ones. But with that, fantastic play by WE. Really, really strong opening.